So we're back again, another episode of Understory Unfiltered. Special guest, Bethany Stachenfeld. Did I say your last name right, by the way?
It's close enough, yeah.
Okay, close enough. But we got Bethany Stachenfeld, CEO and founder of SendSpark, which is a video platform that allows you to create personalized videos at scale to use in your outbound messaging. But I think Bethany can do a better job introducing herself than I did. So Bethany, I'll pass it over to you. Tell us a little bit about you. Tell us a little bit about SendSpark.
Yeah, definitely. So my background's marketing automation. I've worked at before starting SendSpark, I worked for two other startups, and so my role was like marketing, aka everything marketing, and so went with a lot of automation to save time and scale. And in the past, I was doing a lot of cold email outreach and found that video worked really well to like just reach out, show what you're doing, especially at a startup, right? Show the people behind the business and why you're creating it. But it just wasn't scalable. And, especially if you're used to using like email automation tools or LinkedIn automation tools, it seemed kind of crazy that you couldn't personalize video at scale the same way. And so we built SendSpark as a tool to be able to like truly take a video of you or your product or like what you're doing, but change variables and attributes of the video to be able to send it out and make it personalized for a contact list. We've been doing that now for just over 5 years. So it's been pretty cool.
So 5 years, and I feel like you guys have really taken off in the last, call it what, two, would you say?
Yeah.
So what do you think happened in the last 2 years that kind of shifted the narrative for you guys and allowed you guys to have this explosive scale that you're experiencing now? I do have a theory. I
Oh,
feel
what's
like,
your
well, I also feel like the integrations have been a huge part too, right? It's like being able
yeah.
to get involved with companies like Clay, Expandy, stuff like that. I feel like it's helped springboard so many really unique and awesome tools that didn't have the
Yeah.
distribution capabilities prior.
I think that's a big part of it. And I'll say it's part of like a broader theme of just AI happened. Like that's when like ChatGPT started being a thing. But what that really did is like one enabled us to make our product better. Like we were able to add a lot more AI to like change your actual voice and lips in the video, which was cooler than what we were doing before. But I think it also just sparked a movement in like people who are in sales and marketing or like, doing outreach that you should be using AI and you should be using tools like Clay and Expandy and like automating more. And it kind of forced people to think about like, how can I automate? How can I automate? And so we were able to just be part of that market shift. So I think it was like, AI sparked a change and we were just ready for it, which was cool.
Makes a lot of sense. I mean, my background is actually in sales. And so
Mhm.
I was very used to the traditional way of prospecting, which was send a bunch of really shitty emails to prospects that you think are within your ICP, go on Sales Navigator and send them individual messages, whether it's through a tool like SalesLoft, and maybe sometimes it's automated and you're sending the same message 100 times a day. Or maybe you're doing the manual stuff on LinkedIn where you're building these lists in Sales Navigator and you're just sending manual messages. Now, the birth of Understory into what it is today was us realizing that that wasn't the way and learning how to use all these modern tools that allow you to do that. But at the end of my tenure in sales, video definitely started to become a bigger and bigger thing. And at that time, there's tools like Vidyard that were big. I don't even know if Vidyard still is a thing. Like, people still use Vidyard. I don't know. But back in the day, it was like Vidyard, and you'd create these custom videos one by one for your prospects, and we'd send them. And then I remember our leadership team got all over us. They're like, "We heard of this thing, Vidyard. We're buying it. Every single person on the team needs to start using it immediately." And we did start using it, and it started to work. So I'm not surprised that this came about. So all that to
Yeah, I
say,
mean, video is a really great way to sell. Like, I think, and I think the reasons why it was hard before is like, if you're recording an individual video for every person, like that takes a lot of time and not everyone's like comfortable being on camera. But, if you just kind of make a couple really good videos for a segment or a type of buyer, like, anyone can do that. Um, but yeah, that's cool to hear that video worked for you. So.
it worked even back in the day with Vidyard. By the way, do you guys compete with them? Is that like a thing anymore? Vidyard?
Oh, well, I think we compete with them. Like they don't do the AI personalization that we do, but I think like when people come to us, they're often using either Loom or Vidyard and doing like the manually recorded videos. And we do have a normal video recorder too. Like you could do that with SendSpark, but most people are coming to us because they're like, okay, cool, video works, but it's taking a lot of time. How can we do this at scale?
Yeah, it makes sense. So who are your primary competitors right now?
You know, the I think you'd think the space would be more competitive than it is. But I feel like a lot of people who are doing AI sales tech are doing more like AI SDRs or like email or LinkedIn automation. So when it comes to like video, really Vidyard and Loom are still our closest competitors, and they're not doing so much with the AI personalization. So hopefully it stays like this for a little bit.
Yeah. That's always a good thing when you don't have too many competitors to go up against.
Yeah.
Um, okay, super interesting. So I'd love to hear more also about the origin story. So it's like beyond the fact that you guys were just creating these personalized videos, like how did you and your co-founder meet? What's the story? Is it true that you have a background in luxury fashion? Is that really a thing?
Oh man, that was one internship. That was not my no. I don't fit into the fashion world, as I'm sure it's not surprising. But I love marketing. Like I just think it's so cool. I got into marketing. I remember like freshman year in college, my first marketing class. My professor said more CEOs come from marketing than any other field, which I feel like you wouldn't think of. Like I was surprised to learn that at least. So I just kind of was like, oh, what's so cool about marketing that people who do this end up running companies. And I think it, it kind of is on everything. So like I got really into marketing, and then fashion I think is like a really good way to learn marketing because it's all brand, right? Like,
Totally.
that's what you're buying. You're buying like the vision of being a person who uses a type of bag. So I I spent a semester and
Ali, I think you're getting some echo.
is that me or someone else? Okay.
I think it was actually Ali. I muted him though.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I spent time in fashion, but like I fell in love with tech startups. I just love how like fast it is and how much like you can do online and just be like, oh, I have an idea, let me just do it, and it's done.
It's actually insane. I mean, Ali and I kind of started the exact same way. It's like we were like, okay, how do we start this business? We had a couple ideas, and then it just blossomed into a failed agency that we tried to start like 6 years ago. Maybe I don't, maybe even longer. I don't know. It was maybe like 2018. I don't know.
19, but
2019. Yeah, 2019. We tried to start another agency. We had a really cool name. We thought we were gonna absolutely take off, and we both were working corporate jobs and did not have the time to do it, and it completely flopped. But then we realized if you go all in, it's possible.
It's cool like when you talk to people how many like failed businesses they had first, because like I think that's the difference is like you just keep on trying till it works. And even my co-founder and I, we worked together at two startups for 3 years. We always knew we wanted to start a company, so we're trying to like figure out the right idea, and we kind of like half started a couple other things that once we got into it didn't really make sense. We didn't really have time or whatever. And then SendSpark really made sense. We went all in, but I feel like it's so common to be like, yeah, we tried this before, but it didn't really make sense. But it's cool that you're not like intimidated by that. You're like, yeah, let's just do it again, and this time we know what we learned.
I
Absolutely.
do
And
think
I feel like it's not a failure either. When you start a company and it doesn't work, it's huge learning. Like unless you pull like a fire festival where you actually get like, in this like legal trouble, then it's never a failure. You just learn so much of it, the connections you build, and also just the relationships. Like Alex and I had that experience. Like we tried to build that company before, and so we knew what wouldn't work going into this new one.
Yeah. And I think sometimes it's also good to know when to pull back. Cause like you don't necessarily want to be like, yeah, I'm gonna give it my all. Like maybe you're like, no, this actually doesn't really make sense. I found some gaps. Like let's do something else or learn a little bit more and then do something else. But like, yeah, a bigger failure would be you spend 20 years on something that like was not a good business to begin with.
that would suck. That would be absolutely terrible. But I also do think there's just like a trait that most founders share, where it's just like the ability to be resilient. It's like being able to get punched in the face, figuratively, and come back from it over and over and over again. Because I mean, business is the highest highs and the lowest lows. Like I don't know, I don't think you guys are mostly a PLG product at this point, right? Yeah, and I'm sure the ACVs are smaller versus what we do, but they're much higher, more high volume. For us, it's like we're high ticket, lower volume. We're a services business. So when we have a client, like a big client churn that we really love working with and we're really passionate about, and sometimes it's out of our control and why they churn, it might be a business problem. Sometimes it is an us problem, right? But with that said, it's like absolutely devastating and it feels like your whole world is collapsing on top of you. But
Dude,
it's like,
it's the worst. Yeah.
yeah, but then it's like one of those things where you realize, like you snap out of it and you realize, okay, this isn't the end of the world. It's one client and it's like, how can we learn from this and get better? The highs become so much higher. So it's like I feel like all founders share that in common. It's just like a trait. It's like the ability to roll with the punches.
And I think you have to be like stupidly optimistic too. Like a little bit to be like, yeah, there might be like 900 reasons why this won't work and like a couple reasons why it might, but like those couple ones, let's really dig in here and see what we can do.
Exactly. Speaking of failure, though, I'm curious because you have a totally different style of product than we do, right? You sell
Okay.
something totally different. What's the most painful type of rejection you've had so far? Is it from an investor, you know, your own employees, potentially customers? Talk to me about that.
I think it's funny because it changes over time. Like, um, early on, I remember like we first were trying to raise money. There was one investor that like said no that both me and my co-founder really, really liked, and that like we're so like devastated by it because we didn't know, like we didn't have enough experience with investors to just know that like it's such a long shot that people like actually invest. And so now like if an investor says no, I'm not like taking it personally, but I remember the first time that kind of hurt. And I remember specifically like he was like, I just think Loom is such a good product that like you won't win or something like that. So it made us like really like go up against Loom. We're like, like we can beat that. And now we ended up kind of changing the product a lot anyway. So we don't, we're very different than them. But I just remember that early on it stuck with us. I think other painful rejections. I think then after that point, it became there were so many rejections, they stopped being painful. But like everything hurt more early on because it's like you get the investor rejections, you get like a bunch of reasons why people won't buy. You maybe try to recruit and people don't want to join the team. Like you just get so much that at some point, like I just it's not like I became numb to it or didn't care. It's just like I didn't take it personally. I'm just like, oh, this is the way the world works is that there's a lot of no's and a few yeses and you lean into the yeses. But I think that was at the time starting having only been an employee who was in a little bubble. I was like, wow, there's a lot of rejections out here, man.
It's such a hard thing to overcome. And like honestly, I'm really grateful that I started in sales because I learned how to face rejection very early on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it really sucks. I mean, like even Ali and I, when we first started working together, like there was times where we handled rejection differently because I was used to being punched in the face hundreds of times, like, a month, where it was a thing. But it's like you realize it's the only way you actually scale. And yeah, like Ali said, you don't lose, you just learn. So
Yeah, and like a lot of that advice too was was helpful and we learned a lot from it too. Like I think that's another thing. And sometimes I'll see founders get really mad at like investors saying no. And it's like, if they're actually like most of them are going to say no anyway, that's just like how it works. And most of them aren't going to share their feedback because they care how you think about them and their reputation. So like the people that are actually like generous enough to share their feedback, you really want to take that in because most people are just going to protect your feelings, not tell you the truth anyway. And there were a couple people that gave us like honest feedback and said no, and then ended up investing a year later because we like took the feedback and changed it.
very
So that,
interesting.
yeah, that's also kind of cool. And there's some things you definitely have to like learn the hard way anyway, like, and also some advice you want to ignore in general. But it is good to hear, get the negativity and not take it personally and try to learn from it.
Totally. I do have a question that I think is helpful for every single person who's thinking about starting a business. But it's like for you, what was the moment that made you want to take the jump and say, like, okay, I'm ready to commit, I'm ready to take the risk, I'm ready to go all in and build a business with my co-founder?
What's the actual moment? So at the time we started the company, we were both working at another startup. And I remember I wanted to leave the other company just in general. And I had been kind of like interviewing for positions. And so where it ended up, I remember it was like December. And I was talking to Brandon, like serious about starting the company. And I also had a job offer for a company in a marketing role in New York. And at the time I wasn't living in New York, but I kind of wanted to go back and be closer home. So I remember like having those two options. And I was like, either way, like I'm going to do one thing. And I think the reason was I was like, look, I can always work at a company later, but I might not have this opportunity to go all in, try something. If the worst case is we fail, then I'll get a job later. And so that takes me back to where I'd be now. So like, why not just go for it? And like, if it, maybe it'll fail, we'll learn something. and then I'll just be, exactly at the other job. So, and funny story, the other company ended up shutting down.
So you made the right move anyways.
Yeah, and it makes me realize like taking a job is not that safe. Like starting a company, very risky. Working for another company, also risky. So like, I don't know.
Totally. We have a similar story, or not the exact same, but similar in the fact that I was like a top performer in the sales organization in my previous company. Closed one of the biggest deals in the last 5 years at the company. That same day, the exact same day I closed this deal, I get all these messages on Teams, because they were that kind of company. They use Teams and not Slack. But anyways, Teams, they're like, oh my God, congratulations, massive deal. Like this is a historic milestone in the company. I was over the moon. 4 hours later, there's a call, says strategy discussion for our whole team.
Oh, no.
Whole team gets laid off that exact same day. And I called Ali like minutes later, because Ali was, Ali was already doing like the freelance stuff. And then it already scaled beyond freelance. Like we were working together already, but more on a part-time basis. And I called Ali. I told him the story. His response was, well, don't worry about it. Now you have a reason to jump in full-time here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Alex came over at 8 a.m. the next day.
Very next day.
So
The
here
very
is
next-
two great things happened that day. Biggest deal, new company.
And to their credit, they did pay me out the full commission for that
Okay.
deal.
I was gonna
You know?
ask.
Yeah, it worked out. But no, literally the very next day, 8 a.m., I was at Ali's house in his childhood bedroom, literally
Nice.
working together and building this business. We have whiteboards that we bought like a week later. We wrote down business plan for what would become our GTM engineering services.
Nice.
And it's still written on those whiteboards in Ali's house today.
I love. How long ago was that?
3 years almost.
Nice. Well, that's really cool.
No, two. It was 2.
Yeah, 2 years, like 2023 is when that was.
But we're never erasing those whiteboards. We might frame the whiteboard.
Yeah. You need to buy a new whiteboard.
Yeah, exactly. Buy a new whiteboard. Yeah.
But Bethany, I'm really interested also to know a little bit more about your co-founder, also what their name is. I feel like people always say like co-founder. Would love to know a little bit more about them. They're more the technical side of.
Yeah. So my co-founder's name's Brandon. He's on the technical side, and he's also a designer. And so that's why like we worked together for 3 years. And I remember the first time I worked with him, because I was doing marketing, he's doing design. I was like, oh my God, he's like the best designer ever. Like he can make anything like really complicated just seem really simple. And I always kind of knew I wanted to start a company. So like we were being like, all right, we're gonna do something together. I don't know what it is, but like I think design and like having that like vision to just like create really simple things is really cool. So we've now worked together for like probably almost 10 years, because we were working together at 2 companies before SendSpark.
So designer, but also building like the back end of the product, or do you have like a CTO as well?
We have a CTO as well.
Oh, okay, that's awesome.
That's actually a very unique like breakdown of co-founders too. To not like you guys are a SaaS company, right? You have a SaaS product, but one of the founders was not a technical developer per se.
Yeah. I market, like I feel like most people are sales and development, and we are marketing and design, which like is not as common, but I think it works.
Well, no, it definitely worked out for you guys. You guys are crushing it. But it's really interesting. So did your CTO come on board super early on?
Pretty early, but it wasn't immediate. So we ended up we hired someone else first as like a developer, and then he was like, hey, we should bring on my friend as like a part-time CTO, just to kind of help, like, he's got another job, but just to help kind of keep everything on track. And then, we were spending the money we had just on full-time developer. So he came on really early, part-time. And then he came on full-time maybe like a year and a half later. He worked part-time for a bit.
Very interesting. And it worked out for you though. Like we had a similar situation with our head of go-to-market engineering. It worked for us for like a year on a contract basis. He was so good. He owned his own business at the time. And we did a lot of selling internally to get him to join us full time. But man, so grateful for that. He's a legend. But
we've had that with someone else too, that like had their own agency and then was part-time for a bit and came on. And honestly, I love it. I think fractional roles are really great for startups, especially when like complemented with someone else. Like we had a part-time CTO and no developers, like we would have gone kind of slow, but like we were just able to like use his expertise and then have, other people that were, younger, like, a lot of energy, able to work really hard. So we've done that with other roles too, where it's like, hey, we just need someone who's like done this for 10 years, come like guide us. And then, but we can't afford you full time. I think that can be better than hiring like a junior full-time employee for the same role.
No, definitely. Definitely. It's helpful. It's like try it before you buy it. It's always a good model.
Yeah.
So getting into the product, because I want to learn more about it. Transparently, we are not much of a video user yet, but
Yeah.
I'm hoping you can convince me to change my mind about that and start using SendSpark right after this podcast. But I want to learn more about the pricing model. I want to learn more about how you guys see the best use cases. I have a really cool idea that's burned into my brain right now that I want to ask you about and see if anyone's actually doing it right now. But I also want to talk about, I think you guys have something called like video minutes, right?
Oh, yeah.
So talk to us about that. Like, how's the pricing model actually work?
Okay, so and I saw like I think you said something. So you're interested in video minutes compared to like user seats, right? Because a
Yeah,
Vidyard and like Loom will charge by user.
yeah,
So it
exactly.
part of our take that like the value of video doesn't necessarily come from every person using it. And even if you go to an organization, like a sales organization, you're going to find some people that like love video, they live it, they breathe it, they're great on it, they win really big deals from it. And then other people that are like, I would rather die than record myself.
Yeah.
And so like it doesn't, but then for the company, like I think it's important to send out videos, but it doesn't always have to be the same video from the same person. So our idea is like scalable video, the same way that like it's often like marketing who's sending out a lot of emails or managing a lot of the automation. You can take those videos from the people who love being on camera and are happy to do it, and then you can scale those out. And so we didn't want like people's willingness to be on camera to be a restriction to how much a company can use video. And so that's why we charge based on like usage more than seats. And we kind of have both components too. So like there is, some limit to like an amount per user, but it's a much lower price per user. So you can kind of get more people on. And that way too, if someone's going to make like 2 videos a month, you can still have a seat for them. But like if you're going to be adding video to all of your welcome emails or set up some automation, so whenever leads visit your website, they get qualified, you send them a video, you can do this and you can automate everything in SendSpark and send things out at pretty high volume. And the numbers make sense for us. So, and I just think in the future too, you're going to get smaller teams and higher volume.
It's actually a really brilliant strategy because now that I'm thinking about it, it makes perfect sense, right? It's like most people in a sales org, me being one of them back in the day, didn't want to be on video. I hated the idea. It made me feel like cringy, just felt uncomfortable. And then I saw it start to work. So I started to try it. But there was still a lot of people, especially older people, like people, I don't know, in their 40s and 50s, who were absolutely opposed to using it, but were still great at sales, right? And I feel like it's such a no-brainer now that I'm thinking about it more in depth on why you would charge the way you charge, because otherwise, yeah, scalability is a SaaS company when you charge by seat on a product that half the organization is going to be reluctant to adopt and the other half the organization is going to absolutely crush it with. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So,
And then what's also nice about like the way that just our product works in general, where you're taking like videos and scaling it. If you don't like being on video, like let's say you don't like it, but like you're in sales, you do a lot of stuff you don't like. You're willing to do it. So with SendSpark, you can make one video that's like a really good video, and you can take like 2 hours to record it if you need to. Like you can do it again and again and again. So you get this really good video, and then that's your video. You never have to record another video. You're just changing out the names or variables and sending it out, or like, tweaking it because you already have it. And I think that's also, relieves a lot of the like daily stress of video, because you're like, no, I got my video, it's good, it works. Like it doesn't matter I do my hair today or put on my makeup, I'm just going to use the video I made 3 weeks ago. That's great.
exactly. You look like you did your hair. That's great.
Yeah.
So I know a big component of the product is also the integrations that you're working with. How do you prioritize which integrations you're working on?
It's a balance of like which ones our customers use the most and are asking for, as well as like which companies will partner with us and um like help us build the integration and help us like market and promote it. So we kind of try to find like the happy balance between them. Um But yeah, integrations are really important. And also we try to build integrations in a way that like if we build one and then we need to do one with a similar company, it's a lot easier to add like the second or third or fourth one. Uh, but it's yeah, mostly also so it's that it's like what do our customers use? Like which of these companies are excited to partner with us? And then also just say like companies that are gaining momentum in the space that we think are going to be bigger long term. So like we were very early to work with Clay, but I remember just like seeing the product and like seeing the customers of ours that were like recommending them, and they were clearly like the early adopters of tech, and we're like this is going to blow up and be huge, like we want to be early in their ecosystem, because we believed in it. And there's a couple other companies like that too, like Smartlead, and some email platforms where they've gained a lot of momentum recently, and so we saw that like these platforms are on the rise, like let's invest in them now.
So how many customers are you guys at now?
We have like 15,000
Wow.
1,500 paid. No, sorry. I think we have 1,500 paid customers, a little bit more than that now, but that's the last time I looked at the count.
So when you're like paying attention to the integrations that are coming up in those conversations, like how do you determine that? Like, do you listen to call recordings? Do you have a system for it? Is it like vibes? What's your system for it? Like
Um,
understanding what customers are looking for in terms of integrations and product.
it's it's not I say it's not that like systematic. I mean, really, we just kind of try to do all of them. And so the way it works is like we kind of have different types of integrations, and so there's like adding a new one is not like a huge project. We'll be like, okay, we're gonna add another one that's like this, and then what we'll do is like, if the person on the sales team or customer success team or support team, whoever gets the request, we'll just make like a Jira ticket for the dev and then put all the information that we need to add that integration. And then they'll also put some information on like the opportunity size or plan size, and then we'll prioritize it based on that. We call it like a service request manager board, so it'll kind of go through that pipeline. Um, and for the most part, like we'll just try to do all of them, and but also get a sense for like how important is it to this customer, because sometimes people ask for an integration but they also use another platform, so you're like, well, you could be a SendSpark customer either way. um but it can be that's for like most of the integrations. If it's like a much deeper integration or something that's like unusual, then maybe we'd scope it out and think of it more as like any dev project. But for the like standard ones, we'll just kind of do them as fast as we can.
So how important has the foresight into those integrations like Clay, Smartlead, like being early on that, helped you actually scale SendSpark to where it is today? Because I think about it now, like, we talk to a lot of SaaS companies on a regular basis because we're partners with a lot of SaaS companies. We use a ton of different SaaS tools. We promote a bunch of SaaS tools. We recommend them. So people come to us all the time and they say, okay, you guys are one of the top Clay enterprise partners in the world. Can you get us a Clay integration with them? Can you help us get involved and get embedded into their system? And every time I go to Clay these days and ask them for an integration, they always say like, hey, they're going to have to get added to the queue, and the queue is extremely long. There's a ton of companies that are submitting integration requests on a daily basis. Like we have to be extremely selective and make sure they align with our company vision moving forward, which changes, by the way, from time to time. Like I feel like historically it was lead gen oriented, right? Now Clay is going very heavy into like the RevOps component of things, right? CRM enrichment and stuff like that. So with that said, like a lot of those tools that could have probably gotten in the door early and didn't have missed that wave. Well, you guys have clearly been able to ride it. So like how important has that been?
I think in general integrations are key, and I think it's I'm kind of saying we try to do all of them, but I actually take that back. I'm like, all of the ones we want to do, we'll do. But I think what's really important is being in part of a certain ecosystem, because there's certain platforms that like people often use together. And if like your customers using that suite, you want to work with those tools really well. So I think there's like the Clay ecosystem, which I'd also say like Smartlead and Instantly are part of, and like there's other
Mm-hmm.
tools part of that system. So like we worked with Clay early, but we also made sure we worked with the other email sending platforms in that suite. So you can easily create the videos in Clay and push them in the right email platform. And I think that like having a really streamlined use case and flow and being part of people's day to day is super, super important. It's not about like trying to do everything for everyone. It's like doing that ecosystem and doing it well and making sure you're the default solution. Um, so I do think it's really important, and that's when I'm like, oh yeah, we do them all, but like even saying that, I'm like, oh, but except for the ones we just immediately veto because they're not part of, the worlds that we're trying to be part of.
Makes sense. And I do feel like you guys have established yourself as like the personalized video platform for any Clay users, for any Smartlead users, Instantly users. Like, frankly, I don't even know who your competitors are, like, honestly. So that's like a really good thing. You know, it's like when I think about that, I only think of SendSpark. And maybe, you know, Ali and I joke all the time, we do live in an echo chamber. We're aware of that. But at the
Yeah.
same time, like, I really don't know who else I would think of to do something like that.
I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, we've definitely worked hard, and I'd say like too that's very different than we first started the company, and we're getting the feedback that we're like too similar to Loom. So that was like when I'd say like, you know, what's a good inflection point for SendSpark, it was going all in to say like, hey, we're even for sales, we're not trying to do everything for everyone. We're going to focus on like people who are big on automation and big on scaling. And you know, if your outreach strategy is that you're going to personally like meet with people in person or like do really small events and have a really small like list, like we're probably not the best solution for you. But if you're looking to do anything at scale, like that's when we're going to be 10x better than other video platforms. So it's cool to hear you say that, because it was a choice we made, and I think it worked out well, even though people aren't using us for HR or internal communications the way they maybe were when we started.
Yeah. Well, they say the riches are in the niches, you know?
Yeah, riches in the niches.
Oh, go ahead, Ali.
No, I don't know if you had a question there, Alex.
I always have questions, but go ahead.
No, I was gonna switch the topic a little bit, but if you had
Okay.
something related to the integration still.
No, but I hope you change the topic to what I want you to change the topic to.
No, yeah, Alex left me with a juicy question. So I know you shared how many customers you guys have currently. Are you able to share any revenue numbers or anything like that?
Yeah.
No. Okay, no worries. But in terms of company goals or anything like that, is it plan to IPO or anything? Like, what is your plan long term?
I would love to IPO. That would be really, really cool. I don't know if anyone has in the video space, so it'd be really cool to be the first. Like, you know, Loom had basically $1 billion acquisition a couple years ago. So I think, you know, it'd be cool to be able to get to that kind of size and scale, but more focused on the sales.
Vimeo too. Didn't Vimeo IPO?
Yeah. I mean, I said no one in the video space. I meant like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't consider them about it. Did they IPO? But when did Vimeo go public?
I think, Ali, I think you're saying they were acquired, right?
I wasn't sure. I thought they
They IPO'd on May 20, according to Google, they IPO'd on May 25th, 2021.
Yeah, that was pretty
I'd only take back my, like, no one in the video space is brought. I meant, like, no one that we compete with in the video space.
Yeah, exactly. In this section of video.
But I think right now the bar is like a $950 million acquisition. So you know, just got to beat that by a little and I'll feel great.
Cool. I'm going to completely shift on you. So this is what I thought Ali was going to ask, but I'm glad he didn't, because I'm really excited to ask this question. But is it true? Are you really a 3rd degree black belt? Is that accurate?
Uh-huh.
And one, like, how do those, I don't know, like, balance the discipline? Because discipline to be a founder is extreme. You have to be extremely disciplined. You have to show up every single day. You can't just take long vacations. Like, you don't have the same freedom you would as if you were an employee at a company.
Mhm.
And becoming a 3rd degree black belt is also no joke. Like, that's a very serious thing that requires years and years of discipline. Talk to me about that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think one similarity too is like you just kind of keep going, like even if things get hard or even like, or, you know, feels like you're hitting like a local maximum, like you keep going and you keep getting to the next milestone. So and everything's related. One thing too, when I started karate when I was 5, and I started in the first month that the dojo opened. And I did it with my mom and my sister. And so like I literally grew up going to karate and like watching the dojo itself go from being like 5 of us in a class to like a, you know, now they have I think 3 locations in New Jersey. And I think that too is really cool to like be part of it and seeing like you know, if you want to start something, you could just start it and then the people will help you. And like as a kid, you know, we were washing the mirrors and like recruiting for camp and like doing stuff to like help the school grow and watching like the founders build it out. So I think that too is like a little bit entrepreneurial. So I'd give karate, you know, the discipline, but also just seeing how you can build a community.
Yeah, like literally start from washing windows, start doing the scrappy work that no one wants to do as a founder. Like the beginning stages are absolutely brutal building a business. Like it's not fun. It's fun when you start seeing success, but it's not fun going through all the stuff at the beginning and then getting to that point where, wow, like I really have a skill. I've really developed this. I've honed in on it and I'll accomplish
Yeah.
it.
And one thing that I think like definitely our school did, and I imagine other karate schools do as well, is like they have the concept of senpai and kopai. So like which is like basically someone who's like a little bit senior to you or someone who's a little bit junior to you. And if you're a senpai to someone, you're a little senior, like you're teaching them. And if you're kopai, you're learning. So even it's not always like, oh, I learned from the teacher. It's like I can learn from anyone and I can teach to anyone. And I think that that was also really good because even as like a 7-year-old, I'm in like leadership roles, and you kind of grow and do that. And you also are able to see like my mom be junior to other people. And so I think that's cool. And that's like an attribute I've tried to add to SendSpark that like, we have a CTO, but even in our dev team, like we have local team leaders who's just like the expert, even if they're technically like more junior. And there's actually a bunch of things from like the karate school that I've kind of used as like culture and SendSpark just because I thought it was really cool. So
Do you still do karate?
I do. The problem is I moved away. Like I'm not in New Jersey. So whenever I go back, I do it. And I'm still really close to the community, but I'm not like practicing. Yeah. I don't know. If someone attacked me on the street, hopefully I could still.
Yeah, hopefully you could. So is it like complete treason if you go to another dojo in another city?
It isn't. But I don't know. Things actually just moved to Seattle, and one of my like good friends growing up from karate is here. So I'm like, now that I live in a place with other people, maybe we'll kind of start our own thing out here just to kind of keep up with it. But it's not treason, but it just would feel so, I don't know, so different.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine. Ali and I gave Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu a shot together,
Oh, how do
and
you like?
that was a lot of fun. So I wrestled in high school. I'm a big fan of MMA, and so I convinced Ali to join me in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Funny enough, a few months in, I actually got concussed by a purple belt. So I think Ali saw enough. I look at Ali and I'm like, I don't know if I can drive home. And
Yeah, it was kind of a buzzkill. Like the next couple of sessions, I was like, this doesn't feel the same alone knowing my co-founder just got like concussed. So
yeah,
dying off a little bit, but it was definitely fun. Like I loved how strategic it was. Kind of like
Yeah,
yeah,
chess a little bit.
I
it's
love
like
the
human
strategy of
chess.
it too. And I love that it's like strategic in like real time, right? Like when you're fighting
Yeah.
with someone, you're trying to like get them to do something else. Like, yeah.
Strategic, high pressure, high stakes. It's
And
like you
it's,
screw up, you end up with a concussion, and I can tell you
yeah.
that from experience.
Yeah. So another thing I've gotten into as an adult, like since I'm not doing karate anymore, is actually circus arts, which sound very different, but it's actually similar in that way because you're like, so I do aerial silks and it's like in the air. Um, and it's a little strategic. You got to kind of know how you're tying like certain drops and dropping. And it's the same kind of thing. Like you have to really be in it. Like if you try to think about your MRR or like emails, like you're literally going to hurt yourself. So that's been kind of a cool thing to do. Highly recommend if this is I don't know if you can see that.
So it sounds like you like adrenaline.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, you like adrenaline. You like starting businesses. You like fighting. You like being high in the air and potentially falling on your face, and who knows what could happen. Interesting. Have you been like that your whole life?
Uh, yeah, I think so. I'd be like, oh no, I'm totally normal, but I'm thinking of my friends, they'd all be like, yeah, she is.
So, all right. So that brings me to another question. I just asked this on the last podcast we did too, and I think it's really interesting. But what's the perfect day for Bethany?
Oh, perfect day.
Yeah.
So I wake up, I have some cold brew. My dog hasn't peed on the floor.
Do you have a puppy?
Yeah, but she's 11 months, so she
Okay.
should not be peeing on the floor, but we just moved and she's like, this counts as outside. I check in for work, everything's going great. Devs just released something, MRR is up, like, no bad news at all, no cancellations. Everything's good. And then maybe do some like circus stuff or get out and do something physical. Eat some nice dinner, have some wine, go to bed early.
Sounds like a pretty ideal day. There's nothing like waking up and seeing that MRR going well. We don't have engineers on our team. We have go-to-market engineers, but love to see when they're shipping cool stuff. So totally can resonate on that one.
I feel like my normal day is like there's always a lot of like issue, like that the stuff that makes it to me is the problems. It's like, this is broken, hey, did you see this is broken, or this customer like wanted this, but it didn't work as expected. So it's like if I just had like it was just like calm and everything was like positive. Oh, and I didn't add like our customers like share some really good results, so like that's great. But I feel like it's often like you get and you're like, oh, what problems happened overnight?
Yeah. 99% of days go more like that for sure.
Yeah.
But you know what? At the same time, like we talk about this all the time. It's like I'm super grateful for those problems and the challenges and the issues because you grow from it so much. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to sit here on a pedestal and say like founders are better than anyone else, but like founders go through more trials and tribulations than other people to the point where you just become like all these things we talked about at the beginning of this conversation, right? It's like the level of resilience, the level of just like, I don't know, intuition, creativity, like all that stuff comes from those problems. So not that you
Yeah.
asked, not that you asked me, but if I was to say, I kind of like those problems in a day. Like my perfect day might have some problems in it. Now that I think about it.
You're right, because like actually now that I think about it, like if there was no problems, I'd be like, it's too quiet. What's wrong?
Yeah.
Because like quiet isn't good either. Yeah, so maybe there are some problems, but we solve them and people
Yeah.
are happy.
Solvable, harmless problems. Perfect day.
And the MRR still goes up.
MRR still going up. Exactly. Yeah.
My husband always says, happy MRR, happy MRS.
That's actually awesome.
Yeah.
What does he do?
He's a doctor.
Very cool. So you've got a
Yeah.
doctor and a startup founder, two very high pressure situations.
Yeah, and he just started he did his first year of residency last year, but then he just started his like real residency this year. That's why I moved.
Okay, so not only that, an early career doctor going through all the stuff that doctors have to go through, and a startup founder.
Yeah, it's good because we're both like busy. Maybe if one of us is like, you don't have time for me, it'd be a problem, but we're both just like,
yeah,
making things happen.
And you don't have kids, you don't have pets, or you do have a dog.
Yeah, we have a puppy.
Okay. That makes it easier. It'd be way harder to do what you guys are doing with kids right now.
Yeah.
Well, cool. I don't know, Ali, is there any other questions that you have?
No, I think we covered everything. I think the one thing that I was just looking at our list of questions that was really interesting to me is just, sales is like super connection driven. Like you really have to build like a real connection with people. And I feel like, adding the AI component to it kind of freaks out a lot of people. So how do you like reconcile that? Like, sales so relationship driven, but you're creating these videos at scale. So it kind of loses that human aspect a little bit. Like, how do you think about that?
Yeah, I think like what we're really trying to do is scale you and like scale the things you would normally do. So with SendSpark, it's like we're taking a video of you and we're just changing like variables or like a small part of it. Which is different than like a totally AI generated video or like a video of someone else. So like the way I think about it is how do we help you like spend less time creating content, especially when it makes you feel uncomfortable to be on camera, and just do something really well that makes sense and send it out at scale. I think with our customers, like it's up to them if they want to tell people it's AI or not. Like you can't really tell it is. So I know I'd say most people probably don't say that it's like an AI personalized video. But I think there's definitely use cases where you could share it, especially if it's like a welcome video or like a confirmation, and just be like, hey, this is like, it's a video, it's me, but it's generated. So I think, it's up to the customers if they want to be transparent with that or not. But I think I don't think it's like that big a sacrifice. Like you have like automated emails, right? And you're not like, oh, this email really should have been written by me. It's just, it depends on what you're saying, I think. And are you trying to come across that you like made it just for them when you didn't, or are you just trying to like show what your product can do or how you can help them, which is, I think, totally fine to scale out.
You just gave me a great idea. So I tried to build this like Slack canvas. So as we onboard new clients in Slack, they get a welcome video. And it's like, thanks for choosing Understory to work with. Like, welcome, blah, blah, blah. maybe, Ali, we need in our email that goes out when we start working with a new client to have a personalized video using SendSpark that welcomes them and talks them exactly through how to get into Slack, into our systems, everything like that.
Yeah, we have
Yeah.
something like that. And what's cool is like you can just record like a normal video of you like showing your screen, showing how to do that, and then just like change the first name.
Yeah. Well, no, even if it's just my face, right? Or
Oh
Ali's
yeah.
face, it's like just talking.
Yeah.
It's a cool idea.
Yeah. Welcome company name. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. Welcome, company name. Welcome, first name. Super excited to be working with company name. No, it's gonna be awesome. We're gonna do that now. That's a great idea.
That's awesome. Yeah, let me know how it goes. I was actually just checking our welcome video stats for something because we released a new like analytics dashboard, and so I was using that, and it's like people watch the welcome videos. Like I think, when someone just signs up, like that's your opportunity of like they're interested and they'll, read your email and watch the video. So it's a good opportunity to put important information in versus like, the 10th email they get in 2 weeks, they might not be as interested in.
Definitely. Oh, by the way, the thing that was burned into my brain that I was dying to ask you about. So I've seen some cool use cases, especially from some of our friends like Patrick at the Kiln. I've seen him do some pretty cool stuff. But how many people right now, because there's the whole Clay workflow you can build where you add Webflow into it and you build custom landing pages and things like that. But how many people are embedding custom videos with SendSpark onto landing pages through?
Not that many. I mean, definitely like Patrick's use case is super cool. And we had to build like I remember we added the feature so you could take a video and embed it anywhere. But I think most people are not like Patrick's really creative. I'm sure a lot of people will be doing it in like 3 to 6 months, but he's definitely early to the curve and it's a cool use case.
I just think that's a really cool idea for sure. It's like having a landing page with a custom video in it for that person. I actually mentor this guy, and he built the most insane thing I've ever seen anyone build, and no one knows who he is. And I'm gonna give him credit. His name is Marwan Aziz, but he built this thing, got like 10 views on LinkedIn, and then I had a call with him, and he showed me the back end of how it works and what it does. But it literally creates a custom WordPress site, which is WordPress, which is also a little like I was like, why are you using WordPress? And he was like, because of these customizations. It goes into Clay, identifies that company, everything you could ever need to know about that company, identifies their ICP, creates an entire Clay table and workflow for those companies, embeds it into a landing page with a timeline for project completion if they were to implement that workflow with his company. That
That's
was
so
the craziest thing I'd ever seen, for sure. And yeah, now all he needs to do, because he actually puts a custom video into it, but he manually records it. He should be
Oh
using
no,
SendSpark.
yeah, he could easily
Yeah, he should be
use
using
SendSpark.
SendSpark. I'll let him
And he
know.
could even, what's kind of cool is like, because you can have like a website in the background of your video. So he could take a video of himself talking and then even go through his page that he created and then have that on the page. Though I guess if he did that, the video wouldn't be there till after, but you could have like a placeholder video and
Yeah,
replace it. And that would be cool. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the world we live in. Like there's just so many cool things and like you can be creative. And this is what I think is different about like with sales and 5 years ago is like you can really think about what do they want to see and how do I help them see that instead of like, oh, let me personalize based off like whatever I can find in 10 minutes of research. Like you actually get really deep about like what do people want to see and then you can scale that out. So it seems like it's less personalized, but I actually think it's better.
definitely. This is fascinating stuff. I don't have any other questions, Ali, if you don't.
I mean, last for me is just what are you excited about product wise on the roadmap?
Um, Actually, just today we released agentic workflows, which
Mm,
is a way to like connect different integrations together. So if you wanted to do something like, lead is qualified, like, they came to our website and not currently a customer or whatever, like that's your trigger. And then you can automatically generate a video and then send it out. Or you could even do something simple like, okay, whenever someone gets added to the sequence, automatically create a video so you can have a video like in that sequence and just build all kinds of like connections to the platform. I think that's going to be really cool. And also you can like use like chat GPT in there too, to be like, let's say you want to say, hey, company name in the video, but like people are entering their company name in your CRM and they're often writing like Inc. or things that would be weird to say. So you can like normalize variables before using it. And I think it lets people be like a little bit creative in how they use SendSpark. So we've had it in private beta for like 3 months, but this is the first time we're like, let's just let everyone use it and, you know, get some feedback and keep making it better.
That's awesome. Release it to the wild. Address the problems as they happen.
Yeah.
Love it. Awesome. Well, Bethany, it's been awesome talking to you. Thank you so much for coming on. And yeah, I'm excited for the world to see this. This is going to be really interesting for everyone to see.
Thanks so much. Great questions. Like, I appreciate you guys like doing research and all that.
Of course.
Really good
Yeah.
conversation.
All right.